filming with a ring light, staring into this fiery ring of death. I feel like I'm gonna go blind. So I'm just making a weird quick video on some stuff that I was thinking about recently, mostly because I watch too much YouTube. I do mostly consume content for people who are at least centrist to left and who are fairly open about, hey, nobody pick on people because of their sexuality or their gender and stuff like that, which I think is a good thing. But once in a while I do run into arguments that do not make sense to me and that people just kind of repeat as if they're like obvious. One of them is this catchphrase that love is love. It doesn't matter who you love, that is a good thing and that should be honored. I'm sure some people just don't like it because it's very simplistic, but for me, it makes me go. I, as a good little Christian girl, read C.S. Lewis, and he wrote a book called The Four Loves. So no, love is not just love. Love could be a bunch of different things depending on the context. Friendship love exists too, family love exists, humanitarian, altruistic love exists. There's many nuances, and it's not just romance. When people say love is love, they're always talking about romantic and sexual and erotic love. They're not talking about two people of the same sex should have the right to be friends. I mean, I think they should, but that's not usually the context. They're not just saying, what are they saying? I don't even know what they're saying. So when they are saying love is love, they mean even if you are attracted to someone of the same gender, then you should not be judged negatively for that, because it's really not that different, at least on a value scale, from loving someone of the opposite gender and being attracted to them, which I agree. And I see why people don't say it like that, because that's a whole bunch more words. But I don't think it holds up as an argument in favor of LGBT rights. There are lots of people that I would say I love that I do not feel the need to have sex with, and with who it would be very inappropriate for me to have sex. For example, I have a close female friend who I would not approach sexually because she's married to another person and I don't think she wants to cheat on him. And it goes without saying that groups with non-heteronormative sexualities do face persecution with the accusations that they're just perverts who will have sex with anything regardless of whether or not they're harming someone. And that is not true. There are straight people who might harm others, and there's gay people who definitely do not want to harm others. And another thing that doesn't quite make sense to me is the rhetoric of just let gays get married, just let them get married. And I do think that gay people should be allowed to get married. I can't really see how it hurts me in any way if two people of the same gender get married and or have the right to do so legally in the country in which I live. I don't think any of those people are gonna like point at me and say, you, Steph, are not allowed to get married. Haha, we stole the marriage, there's none left. The reason I don't like it is because I think it gives marriage too much credit as this immortal, unchanging institution that everyone everywhere has exactly the same understanding of. And the only reason to not give the legal rights to gay people is because the straights are just big meanies and they don't want people to be happy, which I'm not going to say is completely false. I think there are some big meanies who just don't want people to be happy, but I think that actually marriage is something that changes based on what the laws are, what the popular conception is, and what function it's serving in society. It's not just one thing that stays the same and it's this prize that everyone's reaching for. It's something we humans have invented and we can change it anytime we want. And I don't think everyone should have the right to get married. There are marriages that were legal in the past that now are no longer legal, and I think that's a good thing because our conception of marriage has evolved. It's no longer a way for families to unite by selling off daughters, essentially, because the women are the property, or for men to get more prestige through acquiring as many wives and as many family members as possible. Now we see it as a relationship between two equals, and that's why now we're questioning, well, do they have to be like different genders? Because we're talking about a romantic relationship between two adults where neither one owns the other, and neither one is in a lower class than the other, neither one's subhuman. So I don't know, it could be two dudes, why not? As I say often, I grew up a good little Christian evangelical girl. So I read the Old Testament and I saw some marriages in there that would not be legal today. At least according to the text, Abraham and Sarah shared a dad. They were half siblings, and no one in the Bible has any problem with that. It's just like, oh yeah, technically she is my sister. And in another story from Genesis, Jacob marries two sisters, Rachel and Leah, and he has multiple wives because that was an accepted cultural thing in that time. The kings of Israel were polygamous, at least according to the text. David had multiple wives, Solomon had many wives and many concubines, which I think is just like, you have all the responsibilities of a wife, but you're too low class to actually be a wife. I think it's really not to the New Testament that you get this rule that men who are leaders in the church have to stick to just the one wife. So even in this religious text that a bunch of conservative people follow, there is an evolution of what marriage is as a concept. It changes as the culture that's being described changes. So now we have a rule that, yeah, like legally, two people of the same sex can get married, but we don't really like the idea of, say, little 15-year-olds marrying each other. We're like, yeah, you're not adults. Wait till you're 18. We don't like the idea of close family members marrying each other. Not too long ago, it wasn't that weird for cousins to get married, but I think it might still be legal in some states in America, but definitely not every state. We've given marriage rights to some new groups as a society by opening up the definition of like what a marriage consists of. And we've also booted a few groups out, which I think is for the best because little kids do not need to be getting married. So bring this back to gay rights. It also kind of overlooks that, well, lavender marriages did exist before people of the same sex had the right to get married. Gay people did have the right to get legally married to a person of the opposite sex. It might be a way of staying in the closet, of pretending to be straight in public when actually both people know that one or both partners is gay. It could be a little bit less honest, but technically that was a thing people could and did do. It's just that having the right to marry people who are not in the class that you're attracted to is not really a great deal. It kind of sucks. And it might be equal. Everyone has the right to marry someone of the opposite sex, but it's not equitable because not everyone has the right to get married to the person that they're attracted to. So I guess if I had to come up with an alternative to everyone should have the right to get married or just let the gays marry, I would say the gays. Like, oh, that sounds so boomer. Like a boomer advocating for gay rights and doing their best, but still messing up. I would say the legal definition of marriage should serve the people. It should lead to a society where more people have the opportunity to pursue a relationship with the person that they're attracted to. And if our current legal definition isn't doing so hot and it's making a lot of people miserable, then we need to tweak that definition. It might mean bringing more groups into marriage. It might mean shipping some groups out of marriage, because we're not into the whole child marriage thing. That's not great. But marriage as a concept is always something that we can tweak and reinvent and work on to make sure that it is working for us. It's something we enjoy as a society. It's something we want to keep. It's something that a lot of people want to participate in, but it came from us. We're not molding ourselves to fit it. So anyway, those are my random thoughts, and yeah, I'm trying out my ring light, and it is really bright. Okay, goodbye.